Morning, my name is Sterling Higa, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd now like to call to order the January 8th, 2025 Kakaako Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. The time is now 10:08.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's Kakaako board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included in the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom. The HCDA communications staff is hosting this meeting. Once the meeting begins, everyone will be muted for their audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. It is important that all individuals clearly state their name, pseudonym, or other identifying name each time prior to speaking. If you wish to provide oral testimony and you're attending virtually, please indicate so clicking the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen. If you're attending in person, you will be called to the front of the room in the order that you signed up. All testimony would be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Your testimony must be related to an item on the agenda. Before you begin your testimony, we ask that you identify yourself and spell your name for the record. When 1 minute is remaining, 1 minute remains will be called out. When 30 seconds is remaining, 30 seconds remain will be called out. When time is elapsed, time will be called out, after which you'll have 30 seconds to conclude your testimony, and then your video and audio will be turned off. If you're attending in person, the presiding officer will call the next testifier. Keep in mind that this is an opportunity to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. If the authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. HCDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge you are here by either saying here or present. The record reflects that the following members are present. Vice Chair Ishii. Here. Thank you. Secretary Lipstone.
Here.
Thank you. Member Miranda Johnson.
Here.
Thank you. Member Anderson.
Here.
Thank you. Member Evans. She is present.
He's present.
Member Shrikes. Here. Thank you. Member China.
Here.
Thank you. And Member Sakota.
I'm here.
We have quorum, we have everyone present.
Wow. For today's meeting, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to provide their testimony respectively. Moving to agenda item number 2, approval of minutes. These are the regular meeting minutes of December 4th, 2024. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as presented. Agenda item number 3 is decision making. Consider authorizing the executive director to amend that certain 955 Kawaiahao Street building space lease dated January 1st, 2016 with Waka USA Incorporated, a Hawaii corporation for commercial space located at 955 Kawaiahao Street, Honolulu, Hawaii, and further described by TMK 1-2-3-003-0941 to extend the lease term by an additional year until February 28th, 2026 and increase the rent. Ms. Lindsay Doi, Asset Manager, will now present the staff report.
Thank you. Good morning, members. This item is located under tab 2 of your packet, and it relates to the Block P property that we purchased from Victoria Ward back in March of last year, or 2023 now. So of those lessees that we have on that property, this one, Waka USA runs the rice factory. It's like a wholesale or a rice shop, pretty popular here, that sells imported rice from Japan. Their lease that we acquired from the sale actually terminates on February 28th of this year. So it's coming up. We have talked with them. They are interested in staying. as long as, we can allow. So we offered a potential 1-year extension. So that is the action, before the board today to authorize that amendment to their lease to extend it for 1 additional year. The rent would increase slightly, as is typical, a 3% increase, and all the other terms and conditions would remain the same. So that means the existing termination clause would remain in that lease. It does allow for us to terminate with 6 months' notice if we intend to develop the site imminently. So right now, we are still in the kind of investigation phase or the planning stage. So we're not ready to develop that Block P property just yet. So that is why it is our recommendation today to authorize that 1-year extension. I do have a representative from the Rice Factory online if there's any questions related to their business or that lease. But that's pretty much a straightforward request today.
Great. Thank you, Lindsay. Members, any comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll move to public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up for testimony? Anyone online or in person wishing to provide testimony on this matter?
None, Chair.
If not, I will be looking for a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to amend that certain 955 Kakaako Street building space lease dated January 1st, 2016 with Waka USA Incorporated, a Hawaii corporation, for commercial space located at 955 Kakaako Street, Honolulu, Hawaii, and further described by TMK 12-3-0030941 to extend the lease term by an additional year until February 28th, 2026, and increase the rent and undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purpose of this for action. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by member Sakota, seconded by member Strites. Members, any further discussion on this motion? If not, I will ask member Lindsay to take the roll call vote on the motion made by member Sakota and seconded by member Strites.
On that motion, member Sakota,
Yes.
member Straits.
Yes.
Let's see, Vice Chair Ishii,
Yes.
Secretary Lidstone,
Aye.
member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
member Anderson,
Yes.
member Evans. I think for me,
Yes.
yes.
She's signal. Yeah.
Member China
Yes.
and Chair Higa, sorry.
Yes.
Motion passes with 9 in favor. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. Moving now to agenda item number 4. For information and discussion, a presentation by Castle and Cook, Waiakoa LLC, KP Waiakoa GP LLC, and RM Towel Corporation for the proposed Waiakoa development project, a proposed affordable housing project being developed pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statutes 201H-038, located at 756 Awahi Street, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813, and further described by TMK 2-1.053. 032. Mr. Ryan Tam, Director of Planning and Development, will now present the staff report.
Hi, good morning, Chair Higa and board members. You do have the staff report in your packets. I'll do a brief summary of it so that we can let the applicant provide a presentation on the project. I did want to note that Cameron Laurie from the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation is or should be on remotely. Also wanted to acknowledge the hard work of our staff reviewer on this, Ms. Sari Burhanu, and all for years of expertise on this. She's not present. She's traveling right now, but again, she did put in a lot of effort on reviewing and coordinating with the applicant. Again, this project is being proposed under Hawaii Revised Statute Section 201H-38, which does provide a certain permitting exemptions for affordable housing projects with 50% plus 1 units that are priced for households earning up to 140% of the area median income. So while we are reviewing it pursuant to our Malco area rules, chapter 15-217, the developer is technically exempt from our zoning rules and requirements. The applicant is processing this project through the Hawaii Housing Finance Development Corporation rather than as a development permit under our Malco area rules. The development lot site is located on Cook Street. This is the block with Artistry Honolulu, Sunset Texas Barbecue, One to Buy, and UFC Gym. So again, it's between Pohukaina and Oahe. Staff initially received a letter dated December 3rd, 2024, requesting review and comment of its application, requesting exemption and or deferral pursuant to 201H-38. HCDA provided a number of comments back to the applicant via letters dated December 23rd and December 31st, 2024, relating to following. Reducing the 6 curb cuts on in order to facilitate more pedestrian-friendly environments on Oahe and Pohukaina. Enhancement of the Pohukaina and Oahe street frontages with more active uses. Screening for the parking structure along Pohukaina Street. Trees and awnings along the Oahe, Cook, and Pohukaina streets. Active design of the Central Plaza. And lastly, and kind of most importantly, we provided additional discussion regarding the requirement to comply with the decision order condition number 7 of the amended Kakaako Kakaako master plan, which does require a 25,000 square foot central plaza that is dedicated for public use. This plaza does need to remain open and to the public and maintained by the project. If Kamehameha Schools wishes to modify this condition, then a contested case hearing must be held rather than exempting it through the via the 201H process. The current design drawings do show a public plaza of over 26,000 square feet, we believe. So the applicant should be able to meet this condition. Again, this project does provide some much needed affordable housing for the district and a lot of other amenities. So staff are very supportive of it. We are working with them to address our comments and remain hopeful that we can get some of them resolved. Subject to your questions, I will otherwise introduce Mr. Isaiah Sato from RM Towel to provide an overview of the project.
Thank you, Ryan, for the introduction there. So my name is Isaiah Sato and I work with RM Towel Corporation. In the room with me, we have members of our full project team from Kamehameha Schools. We have Pua Hal and Rose Serrano. We also have from Castle and Cook Homes Hawaii, Kaeo Kane. Members of our architect team, design partners here as well. So we'll be all available to help answer questions, if anything comes up. I think our slideshow is a little bit delayed, but thanks for bearing with me here. But so the applicants, Castle and Cook Homes Hawaii and co-partners, proposed to develop a mixed-use residential tower that consists of 1,032 for-sale residential units. Of those units, 60% of the total are going to be affordable, so 620, and the remaining 40%, 412, will be market. They're going to provide over 68,000 square foot of commercial space and over 40,000 square feet of ground floor plaza promenade area there. So as Chair Tam mentioned, we're going through the HRS Chapter 201H process. We submitted to HHRTC and it's currently under their review. The project site, you guys are all familiar with it, 756 Oahe Street. They're located on a 4.2 acre lot. We're bounded by Pohukaina on the Malka side, Cook Street on the Ewa side, Oahe Street on the Makai side, and the Ulana project by Ward on the Diamond Head side there too. So we're zoned within, excuse me, Kakaako's Community Development District, Mako Area Plan, Pawahi Neighborhood Zone. And as Chair Tam mentioned, there's 3 existing warehouse buildings on site. Sorry, I forgot it's not on the neighborhood board anymore, just from old memory there, but including the UFC gym and Tesla building there. This is just a couple pictures of the existing project site. On the left is at the corner of Cook and Oahe Street, looking Malka. And on the right side is right next to the Ulana building on Oahe Street. So the project site there where the UFC and Tesla buildings are. So the project is part of Corona School's Kaya Ulu o Kakaako Master Plan area, and just to get an overview of the whole master plan. So in orange, of course, you guys know there's SALT, Block F, the collection, Orange and Kiave, which was actually developed by Castle and Cook, Kiapo Lane. We're in the increment 2, which is blue. So right in the middle of our image here is Block D. Nearby parcels is Block I, which is Aliyah. On the high side, Block H, Block G, Kali'u, and right on the Eva side of Cook Street is the Kahuina Stanford Car Project in Block C there too. So, and lastly, Ulana is right on the diamond head side of our project. So again, the overview: 1,032 for sale units, 620 affordable, 412 market. The breakdown is from studios all the way up to 3 bedrooms. We have 222 studios, 386 1 bedrooms, 357 2 bedrooms, and 67 3 bedrooms. The open space on the ground floor, we kind of have 2 areas going on. We have some renderings coming up, but there's these Central Plaza, which is over 25,000 square feet, and that's going to be along Oahe Street. Fronting Cook Street is kind of a promenade, a 15,000 square foot promenade that's meant to help really connect, Mother Waldron Park and Gateway Park. So it really enhance that promenade there. This slide shows our ground floor plan. To orient yourselves here to the left side is Oahe, Cook is on the top, and Open is on the right of this image there. In the upper left, which is the Oahe Cook corner, is where we have that 25,000 square foot central community plaza. Along Cook Street, there's a 40-foot setback there, and that comes out to about 15,000 square feet of promenade along Cook Street. In purple is our commercial space. So we have a very large commercial tenant anticipated to go in that spot there. In orange, we have our 2 lobby areas there. So Ryan mentioned curb cuts, and I got a slide coming down later, but just for an overview, on the left on Oahe, we have an entrance for commercial parking. And on the right is our main residential entrance with the porte cochere and the residential parking garage. And on the bottom along Ulana is where we anticipate to have our backup house operation. So that's supposed to be one way. On this screen would be from the right to the left. This is a rendering that shows the Central Plaza, and it's envisioned to be a neighborhood gathering place for recreation, entertainment, and culture. This is a very conceptual rendering, and it'll be revised and updated as the design progresses and as we work with HCDA. This next slide shows a floor plan going up the tower now of podium / residential liner levels 2 to 7. So this is where we're gonna have all of our parking as well as we have a liner. So if you can see on the left, Oahe and Cook on the top, we have it fully lined with residential units. So we really wanted to promote this residential liner to avoid seeing a large garage on these levels. So from the street, you're really just gonna see these residential units on our promenade and Central Plaza area. We have a total of 1,667 residential and commercial stalls. And a typical floor plan is 25. This is you're standing on Oahe Street on the Makai side of the project. So you can see on the ground floor is gonna be the commercial, floors 2 through 7. You see the this is a rendering that shows a recreation deck, which is on level 8. We have on-site amenities that are going to include a pool, a children's play area, fitness center, dog park there. So we are going to be providing extensive amenities for the affordable and the market rate units there. The next slide shows our Maka and Makai towers, and these are both both towers have typical floor plans. And they have 13 units per floor there too, and this will be the same from levels 9 all the way up to the 42nd floor. So we do have two towers. The bottom left we're naming for now is just the Makai Tower, and then the right one we're temporarily naming as the Maka Tower. So again, wanted to emphasize that this is a 2-1H project, and our goal is to provide housing for Kama'aina there. So we'll be providing approximately 620 units, 60% of the total for residents earning up to 140% of the area median income there. And we're intending to house local families such as teachers, flight attendants, nurses, and other careers there. We are, of course, part of Kumeme's Kakaako master plan, and our project fronts the people, which is at the intersection of Cook and Awahi Street there. It's envisioned to be a gathering place for recreation, entertainment, and culture. There too, project supports the retail corridor, which is also in the master plan along Awahi Street, as well as we add to the park-to-park connection along Cook Street, supposed to help connect Mother Waldron down to Gateway Park there. The next few slides briefly touches upon some of HCDA's comments there, and this one wanted to highlight the curb cuts. So on the left side of this page, the bottom curb cut is where the backup house. So at the bottom of the screen is where we're planning on having our backup house coming from the right side one way down to the left side there too. And you can see in the image as well, that's where we're planning on having a really large loading vehicles and all of our backup house operations there. We have above that on the left side along Oahe, we also have a curb cut 2 ways that's intended to go to a commercial parking garage there too, and we'll have the residential frontage in blue kind of between there. On the right side along Ho'okana, going from top to bottom. So the top one is a one-way in curb cut, and that's meant to enter the Port Cachere there. The curb cut below that is a 2-way curb cut meant to go into the residential parking garage. The bottom is the backup house one meant for all the large loading vehicles along the side of the project there too. Another comment was the parking screening, and so as you guys saw in our earlier slides, along Oahe and Cook, we have a residential liner blocking their garage. On Ulana's side, we needed to have a solid frontage to meet some of our fire code, and our architects can help elaborate if needed. And so on Ho'okana, we're planning on providing a parking screen on the second and third levels to help aid in that screening, but to also make sure that we have enough ventilation to air out the garage there. This slide, I wanted to highlight some of the utilities that we're working with. So along all of our frontages, there's a lot of drainage, electrical, sewer, and there's a lot of utilities that we're gonna have to work around. And one big one is that one big project, I guess, is the HECO infrastructure that's gonna be proposed as part of all of these offsite improvements there. So one of our exemptions we're requesting to exempt us from the street tree requirement in the exact placing 35 feet or 45 feet along the frontage. We do anticipate to provide similar number of trees, just might not be at that specific distances while we try to avoid some utility boxes and other things. We do plan on having extensive trees in our plaza and the promenade along Cook, so it might be a little bit offset from that exact street frontage there. This is the last slide I have today. Just wanted to mention through the 2-1H process, we're requesting exemptions to various zoning rules and permits. HCDA specifically requesting an exemption from the plan development permit. Similar to what was done on the Kahuina 2-1H project. Density wise, we're requesting to go up to 6.5 FAR, which is consistent with the 2021 Kaia'ulu Kakaako master plan. Height up to 400 feet. Exemption into some of the yards for architectural embellishments, otherwise exemptions from the public facility, the dedication of public facility requirements. We will be providing that large central plaza that will be available to the public there. Exemption from the view corridor, building orientation, spacing, and the landscaping is what I mentioned earlier, with the landscaping requirements. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, Ryan. Members, any comments or questions? And then, Isaiah, maybe if you can stop screen sharing, so. Members, any comments or questions? From Trace.
Thanks, Isaiah. Could you just clarify that promenade that's located along Cook Street, is that kind of aligned with the HEPA easement? Or any other?
Yeah, so in the master plan, we showed that it has like a 40-foot setback. So that's what we're aligned with. So our building, setback 40 feet from Cook, so we're planning on keeping that open. We have some conceptual plans with a lot of trees, potential seating areas, but they're kind of all in the conceptual base.
You're showing some off-site improvements on the utility side. I didn't know if that was an existing easement that was lined up with.
So I'll have to check for a survey for the people easement, but I don't believe there's a easement that goes all the way in, but we are planning on doing some improvements, right along the frontage as well as potentially in the street.
Oh, okay.
Members, any other comments or questions?
Chair, sorry, right.
Yeah, okay, no, sure, if I may, there you go. So again, in the master plan, I think it was always envisioned to have this park-to-park connection, so that has a 40-foot setback on either side of Cook Street. And I think it was envisioned this, large tree canopies, shaded connection, promenade between Mother Walton Park and the Mackay Gateway Park. I think I guess our main concern is just to make sure that there's, those types of tree canopies, and, we understand the issues with the utilities needing to go in, but just for context.
Okay. Chair, I think there's one other questions. Thanks, Ryan, maybe for you. I saw that the project is requesting an exemption from the view corridors, and so I'm just trying to get a better understanding of the vested under the Malca rules and what that corridor was. I'm assuming it was like a public view corridor, but I guess my concern is that this corridor is intended for specific purpose, and by blocking that, you're not only affecting the individual area on the project site, but also for the detriment of the rest of the properties along the corridor. So I don't know what kind of impact that results for people who have been complying with it or need to comply with it in the future.
Yeah, I believe that the view corridor, so Cook Street was designated as a view corridor, and I think the view corridors in the best, in our vested Malca rules has kind of these setbacks that kind of go up at kind of 45-degree angles. So I think with the, so we can provide a kind of, we can follow up with you later on, but
It's
I
only
think
the parking, or it's only the podium though, right?
Yeah,
That is
so-
in the view corridor,
Yeah.
not the tower itself.
yeah, exactly. So I think, with the 40-foot setbacks, there'll still be this kind of view plane.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, so,
Yeah.
like Brian was mentioning, along Cook Street, there's a minimum 75-foot setback for anything above 45 feet in height, 45 feet, 75 back. So our residential liner goes up to the 7th floor, so that encroaches, since we're at that 40-foot setback, we encroach within that 75-foot tower setback there. If you guys remember on an earlier slide, we have two towers. The Mackay Tower is like this, like directly parallel to Cook Street, and the Maka Tower is a little bit angled. And the top tip of that tower encroaches in that view corridor as well. And one of the reasons we angled it is, and I don't have this image in front of me, I can follow up, but it's to help keep the buildings spaced from the nearby buildings as well. So on the Diamond Head side, Ulana's on the, I guess, far side from our lot, and that one is parallel to, so that Ulana and our Mackay Tower are essentially parallel to each other and far apart. On the Malka Tower, right across the street is the Kapuina project, and that building is right along Cook Street. So we decided to orient it a little bit angled to help give a little bit more space between the buildings, or most of the buildings there, and to try to keep away from, I guess, a tunnel effect on Cook Street. We wanted to help it seem a little bit more open and get the building set back a little bit more. So in that sense, we're not exactly Maka Mackay on the Maka Tower. We're a little bit angled, but and we did our best to respect the requirements.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful as part of this application to see that perspective and how this encroachment affects the view corridor, because I understand the purpose of the 21H trade-off for affordable housing, but I think there's a difference between just exceeding height in general versus kind of exceeding it into a view corridor that has a specific purpose.
Yeah, you know, on the other kind of Malcolm Mackay streets on Ward, you know, I think we've also given exemptions for encroachments into the view corridor also. And I think these go back to the 2005 rules, right? So
Your analysis is that this encroachment for this project won't render this view corridor worthless.
yeah, we can look into it further. But
It's
I think
consistent,
staff, it's
it's
consistent.
consistent with modifications that have been
Yeah.
done previously.
And staff didn't raise that as a like that as an
So the request, member Strides, is maybe for Isaiah. If we can have a conceptual rendering of what that would look like on the street, just so we have an understanding of how the view corridor is being obstructed for member Strides.
Yeah, that
Of
would be
course.
helpful.
Yeah, we'll circulate that.
Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, member Strides. I see Vice Chair Ishii.
Yeah, I had a question, maybe for Ryan, for you first. What is the master plan looking at as far as foot traffic is concerned from the street? So when I read this renderings, I see Polkaina now is becoming really more not a foot traffic type of a street. It seems to be more on the Oahe and Cook Street. Is this fair to say that that's sort of how we're, because you got Ulana, right? We're talking about Polkaina with Ulana for quite a bit as we did that approval. And that we wanted it to make it accessible, more foot accessible.
So I know and I want to share that too. In the previous kind of visions, or in the visions for the Kakaako and the Kamehameha Schools master plan. Yeah, Oahe Street was always kind of envisioned also as this major pedestrian connection, right? So we wanted to be pedestrian friendly. I think, you know, that's still true. And as you mentioned for Ulana, you know, we did, and we are still continuing to work with Kamehameha Schools and Howard Hughes to really make sure that that interface along Oahe Street is continuous and pedestrian friendly. I think in our more current thinking, and especially with the connection of Pohukaina up to Oahe Street. Through I guess where the First Hawaiian Bank property is, so the realignment of Oahe Street to connect it with Pohukaina. I think we're now seeing that both streets, Pohukaina will also become a major kind of pedestrian and active thoroughfare. So actually in our updated Malco rules, we did also designate Pohukaina as kind of a promenade street with, intended with large canopy trees. So I think we'll see both of those, and especially as Kakaako, continues to develop with a lot more foot traffic.
So I think we need to pay attention to the setbacks and the canopies, as well as the activation of that full kind of it as we go forward, if that's the case.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's sort of my question at this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Members, any other comments or questions for staff or the developer?
Chair, I have a quick question. If the members don't have any. So Isaiah, I just want to clarify. So there's a bunch of curb cuts on Pohukaina, Hawaii, but on Cook Street, you just have one curb cut, which is for a mid-block crossing. Right? Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So it's just not for vehicles, yeah, just for pedestrians.
Pedestrian street. And you're asking for an exemption for further executive director review on the curb cuts because you're gonna set it. Okay, thank you, Isaiah.
And
Madam-
sorry, Chair, I had another
Please.
question.
Go ahead.
The question was similar to what I had spoken to, I think was the other Stanford Cars project, and that is Mother Waldron's Park. I think we got to take into consideration making sure that it's well lit and that it is basically maintained properly to serve that community. And I don't know if we can stipulate that somehow in these projects going forward.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'll echo Vice Chair's sentiment. I think it will be incumbent upon the major landholders in this area and the city and county of Honolulu and HCDA to collaborate on Mother Waldron Park. Right now, it is, in my opinion, not an asset to the community, but given the substantial redevelopment that's occurring in this area, we can all do better together at making sure that it's a vibrant, useful place for the residents of this area, including myself.
So I think, Vice Chair, I remember your comment, when Stanford Cars project was being considered. I think the request we made, of Mr. Carr at the time was, as he went through Kauina, that he would look at making some improvements to Mother Waldron Park. I think prior to this, when he worked on Halekauila Place, I believe, he made some improvements to the pavilion. I don't disagree with Chair that I think Mother Waldron Park needs some upgrades. So I guess I would ask Kamehameha Schools and Castle Lake Cook similarly to see if they can work together with Mr. Carr and us to make some upgrades, especially lighting upgrades, maybe to Mother Waldron Park. We're also looking at ideas for activating Mother Waldron Park.
Yeah, and executive director, also the doggy park right next to it as well. I mean, similar to Kolowalu, what we see there and the activity that occurs there, I think it would be really good if it could be a collaborative effort.
Yeah, so the dog park, the 2 pickleball courts are on county city owned property. The park is kind of strange in that it's part HCDA, part DLNR, and part city and county owned. So there's multiple jurisdictions there. But I'll tell you that I had some discussions just yesterday about ways to activate Mother Waldron Park. And so I have some ideas. And I think I'd make the same request to Castle and Cook and KS on Mother Waldron Park, because I think it can be an asset to both Stanford's development and your development, and you should look at it that way.
Yeah, thank you for that. Discuss it with our team.
So Isaiah, no more UFC gym.
Where you see.
Then how are we gonna have so much traffic in that area without the UFC gym? Sorry, that's just a joke. Members, any other comments or questions? Member Sakota?
Yeah, I just want to comment about the activating the parks and et cetera. But living in Ward Village, I mean, every unit within Ward Village pays a fee to the Ward Village Community Association for the maintenance of the parks within Ward Village, right? So I'm not sure, as I look at Kolowalu Park and I look at Waldron and the other parks, I mean, they're on very different financial terms in terms of just supporting and maintaining, those public areas. So that's one thing to consider going forward is, trying to build community going forward. How do you do that? And put everybody, so everybody has a little bit of skin in the game to take care of the place. That's it. That's what I want to say.
Thank you,
Member
Sakota.
Sakota.
Yeah, thank you.
Members, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll move now to public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up for testimony? Do we have any persons present or online who wish to provide testimony? Seeing none, thank you, Isaiah, Ryan.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, we'll move now to agenda item number 5, the report of the executive director, monthly report and other status reports, including approved permit applications that did not require HRS 206E-5.6 public hearings. Mr. Craig Nakamoto, executive director, will now provide his monthly report.
Thank you, Chair. The executive director report is in tab 4 in your packets. There's a list of permits that did not require a hearing. And there's also some updates on reserve housing, Kolowalu Park, and right of entry agreements. So I'm open for questions. We'll be able to on Kolowalu Park, I think as it stands now, we're looking to do some kind of blessing and grand opening probably in February of the dog park. That's what we expect right now. And we'll keep the board informed of that. As to the playground equipment, as most of you know, the new playground equipment has been wildly popular with everyone. A lot of good feedback and positive comments on the playground equipment, and really looked at in the community as a model for future playground equipment, replacement. So wanted to thank the board for the support of that, and also the elected officials as well.
Thank you, Craig. Members, any comments or questions on the executive director's report? I just want to thank the staff again for their work on the park, and our contractor as well, Inspired Play. My wife and the baby were just there this morning, as they are pretty much every weekday enjoying the park. And they're not the only ones enjoying it, so great work. I'm excited for the dog park. All right, I think that brings us to public testimony. No public testimony on this matter. Board members, thank you so much for appearing both in person and online. We will conclude our business for today. The meeting is adjourned. The time is now 10:52 a.m.
Thank you.